Agit Tavach, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry I'm a little late for today's share. It's been we had a remarkable Shabbos upstate New York, and we came back early last night. And now we are continuing with a Perek Mishnayos a day. We do one a day, usually it's in the morning, rare occasions in the afternoon. And we gotta get it done. So here we go. Today's share is Lila Nishmas Mashver. Avram Yehuda ben Yosef Mordechai Cohen, whose yahrzeit is tonight and tomorrow. May the Hashem have an aliyah and a full shlema for Yisrael ben Rachel Leah, Rachel bas Pesach Zelda, Rachel Eliana bas Yar Bracha, Avram Yisrael ben Risha, Chai bas Tevabela, full shlema b'soch Shachal Yisrael, and Shefer Bracha v'Atzlacha Tzvi Noach ben Bracha Rachel Leah, and Azir B'Karo for Shmuel Dar ben Miriam, and Tzvi ben Chana. Here we go. Avodah Zarah Perek Gimel Mishnah Aleph. There's an Issa min Torah to have any benefit from an idol. So we're going to talk about these things now. Kol Hatzlamim Asurim. All sculptured images are usher for benefit, even in places where they are not worshipped. Because there are places where they are worshipped once a year. This is according to Bimeir. The idolaters in the Bimeir city would sculpt images which were meant to correspond to the sun's position in the heavens on a particular day of the year. So when that day arrived, the people would worship the image that corresponded to that particular day. Those images are therefore certainly idols. The images in other cities, though, were decorative in nature. Nevertheless, Rabbi Meir holds that even in other cities, image that a person finds is asa d'Rabbanan, and that's done as a safeguard against benefiting from images in a city like this. So, even though you might not be over the Issa d'Oraisa, but it's Issa d'Rabbanan as a safeguard, because most Issa d'Rabbanan are there to create a shmira against the Issa d'Oraisa in many cases, as you learn from the first Mishnah in Brachos, that they made it together. Chachamim say, "Eino aser ela kosh yesh biyado makil or tzibur or chadur." An image is not aser as an idol in places where it's not worshipped, unless it has a staff, a bird, or a ball in its hand, which indicates that it was likely meant to serve as an idol. The Chachamim agree that in a Bimeir city, when they had that special situation, that all of the images in that city were aser. However, they hold that the fact that they were worshipped in one place is no reason to forbid the images of other cities, which were just decorations. And that's according to the Chachamim. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Kol sheyesh b'yado kol davar." Any image that has anything in its hand, not just the ones listed above, not just the ball or the bird or the staff, but anything else is likely an idol. Therefore, it's us according to Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Mishnah Beis. If someone finds broken pieces of images, they are permitted for benefit. However, if he finds the form of a hand or the form of a leg, they are usher for benefit because such images are made to be worshipped as idols and are not broken off from an idol. Mishnah Gimel, Hamotzi Kalim. If someone finds utensils, and have on them an image that is symbolic of the sun, so as Levana, or an image that's symbolic of the moon, so as Darkon, or the images of a dragon, Melach, he must bring them to the Dead Sea and dispose of them there. because they are presumed to be idols. Yeah, this fulfills the chiyuv, the obligation to destroy the idols. At the same time, it ensures that no Jew will benefit from them. Other images, however, are made for decorative purposes and are mutter. Consult the local Orthodox rabbi for how he paskin on this halacha. Does this mean that every time you have like a plate or a coffee mug that has like a beach scene with the sun hanging on it, or a moon? Consult the local posik for how to answer the shaila. This is not halacha shir. We do not pass in lach l'maisa in the daily Mishnah shir. So if you have any shaylas about that, consult the local rav. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Sha'al hamechubadim asurim." Those images mentioned above that are on valued utensils such as jewelry, they're usher for benefit because they are presumably worshipped as idols. V'sha'al hamvuzin mutarin. But those that are on lowly utensils such as cooking pots, they are mutter because the images are there for decorative purposes and are not worshipped. Rabbi Yossi says, "Shochik v'zorah l'ruach," that they should either grind the idol to dust and then scatter the dust to the wind so that no Jew benefits from it, mat the yam, or throw the idol into the Dead Sea without first grinding it down, as the Tanakama had mentioned. Amrullah, the Chacham said to Yossi, Afuna says Hevel, scattering its dust to the wind was not an option, because the dust provides benefit as well. When it falls to the ground, it becomes fertilizer, and a Jew who grows produce on that land will then have enough from it. Shenamar, as the Torah says in the pasuk, Lo yudbach biyadchem umam menacherim. No part of the banned property may cling to your hand. So you can't even grind it and scatter it. Mishnah Daled. So continuing with that pasuk no part of the banned property may cling to your hand. The pasuk also asks benefiting from any of its accessories, such as something made to honor or to decorate it. So now this Mishnah presents a discussion between Rabbi Gamliel and a priest of idolatry, where Rabbi Gamliel clarifies whether the prohibition applies to a bathhouse. So here's story time. Shal Pruklus ben Philusfus as Rabbi Gamliel Ba'aku. Perek, the son of Philosophus, presented a question to Rabbi Gamliel when he was in Akko. While Rabbi Gamliel was bathing in the bathhouse of an Aphrodite, which was a idol that represented the planet Venus, Allah, he said to him, "It is written in your Torah, and no part of the banned property may cling to your hand," which teaches that a Jew may not benefit from an item of idolatry. So then, if that's true, then why are you bathing in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? It was an idol that represents Venus. And we said to him, "Ein mashivim b'merchas." We may not answer questions about Torah matters in the bathhouse when people are undressed. I'll answer you when I get out of the bathhouse. Because Yitzie and when Gamliel left the bathhouse, he told him, "Ani lo vasi b'gvula." First of all, I did not enter Aphrodite's area, his makom. He bas b'gvuli. Aphrodite entered my area. The bathhouse was made for public use before the statue was put there. The idol that was later there, put there cannot rob the public of its right to use the bathhouse. So that doesn't work this way. And secondly, people do not say, "Na semerchas la'aphrodite goy." Noi, the bathhouse. No one says that the bathhouse beautifies Aphrodite. Ella Omrim, but rather they say, "Nase Aphrodite," nor the merchas. Rather, Aphrodite, this Avodah Zarah, beautifies the bathhouse. So since the idol is adorning the bathhouse and not the other way around, it is mutter to use the bathhouse. Another reason, even if you were to give a lot of money, you would not come to your idol while you were naked or having Zarah and you will not urinate in front of it. Yet this statue of Aphrodite stands at the opening of the waist channel. And everyone urinates in front of it. Now, when the Torah speaks of idols, it says that you shall utterly destroy their gods. This implies that only when it is treated like a god, also that's us to have any benefit. But when it's not treated like a god with the reverence that it requires, is instead subject to disrespect, mutter, it is permitted for benefit because it is not considered an idol. We're going to talk about that more in tomorrow's Perek. Mishnah Hey. If non-Jews worship mountains and hills, hein mutarim, those mountains and hills are permitted, are mutter for benefit. You can plant on the mountain, you can remove stones from the hills, and such things. But however, whatever is on them, that there's gold or silver overlay, that's us. Now, as the pasuk says, "Lo sach mode." 1 second. Lo sach keser zav alehem l'lakachta. The carved images of the gods you shall burn in the fire. You shall not desire and take the silver and gold that is on them. This teaches that such ornaments are usher for hana. Rabbi Yossi Glili says that the pasuk says you shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations that you shall possess worship their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every leafy tree. That pasuk can be understood as the follows: Elohei al-harim, their gods around the mountains, which implies Elohei harim Elohim, that the worship mountains themselves are not considered the gods. It's in the gods around mountains, the mountains themselves are not considered the gods, but the stuff that's on top of them. Similarly, the continuation of the pasuk can be understood as their gods are on the hills, which implies below hagvos Elohim, but the worshipped hills are not considered their gods. The gods are on top of the hills. The pasuk teaches that mountains and hills, as well as similar items that are attached to the ground, do not become usher if worshipped as an idol. Okay, so let's go on. So why then is an Asherah tree forbidden, as the pasuk says that you should chop down the Asherahs? Asherah was a type of tree used for idolatry, similar to a Christmas tree, right? It is because a tree comes about through a person's involvement, meaning a person plants it. And whatever comes about through a person's involvement is usher if it's worshipped. Mountains and hills, however, do not. You can't plant the mountain. You can't plant the hill. If they're worshipped, they are mutter to benefit from. Okay. 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 So we see there's a difference between trees and mountains and hills, but basically did not explain what the Torah is actually teaching with the words "and under every leafy tree." So, Rabbi Kiva says, "Ani ovin v'adun lefanecha." I will explain the matter and argue logic before you. The person tells the Jews to enter into Israel. Whenever you find a tall mountain, you give a nisa, an elevated hill with eitz ranan or a leafy tree. Dash yeshama avodah Zarah. You should know that there is an idol there. Therefore, you must seek out the idol and destroy it. Mishnah Vav. Someone's house is next to a house of idolatry, meaning that his house and the base of Zarah they share a wall. The nafal on the wall fell down. Also he is usher to rebuild the wall in its original place because he would be building a wall for idolatry. How he wound up living in a house next to one of these idolatrous temples is a different question, but this is the story. Kate said, so how may he go about rebuilding this wall? He must go back 4 amos within his own property, and build a wall there, which will serve him alone and not the house of Avodah Zarah. If the land on which the wall stood is partly his and partly the idols, the land is treated on a half and half basis, which when calculated the required 4 amos. The idol's half does not count those 4 amos, but the Jew's half does. Therefore, the Jew may build the new wall 4 amos from the middle of the area that was occupied by the old wall. So, for example, if the wall was 2 amos thick, half of those 2 amos, which is 1 amma, is on the Jew's land. That counts toward the 4 amos. So the Yid then moves back another 3 amos and builds the wall there. Avanav eitz of faro mitamin gesheretz. The stones, wood, and sand of the fallen wall transfer tumor like a shirt. Shenamra, as it says in the pasuk, shakes tishaksenu. You shall surely treat it with disgust. This teaches that an idol transmits tumah like a sheretz. Therefore, just as a sheretz transmits tumah to someone who touches it, so does an idol. Rabbi Kiva says, "Kenida, that the stones, wood, and sand transmit tumah like a nida." Shenamar, as it says in the pasuk about idols, tis reim kemodava say tomerlo. You will scatter them like a distance nida. You will tell it, leave. Ma nida mitame b'masa. The comparison between a nida and idol teaches that just as a nida transmits tumah when carried, Avodah Zarah mitame kemasa. So too an idol transmits tumah when it's carried, even without touching it. Mishnah Zayin. Shlosha batim hein. There are 3 categories of houses that are usher because they were designated as by an idolater for idolatry. The first category is a house that was originally built by an idolater to be worshipped as an idol. It is completely usher, since an idolater built it to be worshipped as an idol. A Jew cannot remove the isser. The second category, if the house was originally built as a dwelling, but an idolater then plastered it or made decorative images on it with the intent of worshiping it as an idol. Chidesh, or he added something to it with that intention. No Tomash Chidesh, then the halacha is that the Jew may remove whatever the idolater added, and he may then have benefit from the house. Hichnis is Socho Avodah Zarah. The third least category, if a house was originally built as a dwelling, and an idolater put an idol into it to make it a temporary house of worship, and then remove the idol, the house is permitted for benefit because it was never permanently designated for idolatry. Shalosh Avadim Haim. There are three categories of stones that an idolater designated for idolatry. Even shechatzva mitchila levimus. The first, a stone that an idolater originally quarried to serve as a pedestal for an idol, meaning that it was carved out of the mountain for the purpose of serving as a stand for the idol, which is to be worshipped along with the idol. Harezu asura. This is completely usher. You cannot remove this isser. Saira v'siyada v'chira. The second one, if a stone was originally quarried for some other purpose, and an idolater plastered it or made decorative images on it for the sake of it being worshipped as an idol, v'chidesh, or he added something to it with that intention. No tamash chidesh. The halacha is that the Jew may remove whatever the idolater added, and it is then permissible to benefit from the stone, since the stone itself is not quarried for the sake of idolatry. The third, if a stone was originally quarried for some other purpose, and an idolater used it as a temporary platform to put an idol on it, an idol, without the stone being worshipped, the silka, and then remove the idol from the stone, harei zumuteres, the stone is mutter for hana, because it was never permanently designated for idolatry. Okay, now moving into the Asherah. Shalosh Asherahs. There are three categories of Asherah trees with regard to whether a Jew can make it mutter to have benefit from. The first, a tree that an idolater originally planted for the sake of idolatry. Harei is an usher. This is completely usher, nothing to talk about. Giddo Epistle the Shem of Zarah. The second, if a tree is planted for a permissible purpose, but an idolater cut it or pruned it, intending that the new growth be worshipped as an idol, the hechlif, and it grew anew. No tomash the hechlif, and the Jew removes its new growth, and he may then benefit from the tree, since the tree itself was not planted for the sake of idolatry. The third, if a tree is planted for a permissible purpose, an idolater later put an idol under it temporarily, uvitla, and he then removed the idol from under the tree, harez and mutter. The halacha, the law is that the tree is permitted because it was never permanently designated as an accessory to the idol. Which of the occasions mentioned is the Asherah that is the subject of the machlokas? It is the last category, which is any tree that has an idol under it. The Tanakama holds that the tree is permitted only once the idol is removed. Until it is removed, it is asur. And Shimon disagrees, and he says, any tree that is worshipped is asur, but a tree with an idol under is not considered asur at all, and is permitted for benefit even while the idol is still there. And indeed, there was an incident in Sidon where there was a tree that was being worshipped, such as by bowing down in front of it. And they found the rocks under it. Shimon then said to his students, check this mound to see what is buried in it. And they checked it. and they found an image in it. Amalahan Rishon said to them, Hoil Surah Henodim. Since the idolaters are worshiping the image and not the tree itself, not to Lehenas Elam, we will permit the tree for them, for the Jews of Sidon may benefit from the tree. Mishnah Ches. Lo Yeshiv Tzila. A person may not sit in the shade of an Asherah, even if the place where he is sitting is not directly beneath the tree, since it is also to have benefit from an idol. Nevertheless, if he did sit there, if he sat in the area that's not directly beneath the tree, he's tahor. Even though there are idolatrous offerings under the tree, he does not become tamei as long as he does not go under the tree. A person may also not pass under the tree, since we are required to distance ourselves from idols. But if he did pass under the tree, tamei, he is tamei because there are surely idolatrous offerings under the tree, which transmit tumah through tumas ohel. If the Asherah was robbing the public, it was hanging over an area meant for public use, such as a public road, and a person passed under it, tahor, he is tahor, since the rabbis decreed this tumah only as long as the tree interfere with the public's right away. A person may plant vegetables under an Asherah during the winter, where the shade harms the vegetables, but not during the summer when the shade benefits them. Lettuce can be planted neither during the summer nor during the winter because the shade benefits it all year. Rabbi Yossi says, person may not even plant vegetables under the Asherah tree during the winter time. Because the leaves fall on them and become fertilizer for them. So they're having benefit from those leaves which are from the Asherah, therefore is aser. Continuing on, Mishnah test. Not if someone took pieces of wood from the Asherah, they are aser for benefit as with any other item. His sig satanor, if he heated up an earthenware oven with them, im chadash, if the oven is new, it was heated up with this wood for the very first time after it was being made, yutas, the oven must be destroyed. Since the first heating of an oven hardens and strengthens the oven, making it fit for use, whoever bakes in the oven afterwards would be benefiting from the effect of the aser wood, and the oven has to be destroyed. And if the oven was previously used, it had been heated up in a permissible manner, yutzan, it must be allowed to cool down, so that the heat provided by the aser wood does not bake the bread. After the oven cools and is reheated with wood that is mutter, you can bake bread in it. If in either of these cases, as we did not do what was required, meaning that he used an oven that was heated with an Asherah wood when it was new, or did not allow a used one to cool down, and he baked the bread in the oven. Asur b'hana, the bread is asur for benefit because the forbidden wood contributed to its baking. This arva be'acheros, if the bread became mixed with other permitted ones, kulan asurus b'hana, they are all asur for benefit because any loaf might be the forbidden one, therefore they must all be destroyed. If Yitzie maintains that there is a way to use all of those. If there's says, Yoli Chana Yam HaMelech, he should bring the benefit to the Dead Sea and dispose of it there, meaning that he throws the value of the prohibited loaf into the Dead Sea. This way, no one will benefit from the loaf, from the Asher loaf. Afterwards, you can use all the loaves that are left. There's no redemption for an item of idolatry. You can't do this. What are you talking about? Not the Himena Bediba. Sorry, my eyes are tricksing me. Not the Himena Karkor. If someone took a piece of wood from the Asherah to use as a weaver's pick, Asher Bahana, the pick is Asher for benefit. Aragbo is Habeged. If he wove a garment with the pick, Habeged Asher Bahana, and the garment is Asher for benefit, as with the loaf of bread baked with the aid of forbidden wood. This if that forbidden garment became mixed with other permitted garments, and those other garments into which the forbidden garment has become mixed later became mixed with other permitted garments, all usher for benefit, because any one of these garments may be the forbidden one. Maybe Lezer says, Yoli Chanal Yom HaMelech, he should bring the benefit to the Dead Sea and dispose of it there. He throws the value of the usher garments into the sea, permitting benefit from the entire mixture. There's no redemption for an item of idolatry. You can't do this. What's going on over here? It doesn't work. And the last Mishnah for today, Mishnah Yud, Ketzim Avodah. So, how does a non-Jew, nullify the forbidden status of an Asherah? Kersem v'zered. If the non-Jew cuts off his dry twigs or its moist twigs for his own use, not the mimenu makel or sharvi, or he moved a stick or a thin branch from it, I feel Allah, or even a loaf. Sorry, even a leaf. What did I say? Loaf. Oh, yeah. Even a leaf. Even if you cut off one leaf from the tree, hare, not loaf. Loaf doesn't apply to trees. Leaf. Hare is a batla, betela. It is nullified because the non-Jew shows with these actions that he no longer considers it an idol. Shafi Sarka Asura, if you scrape the Asherah down for its own sake, so that it should look nice, it remains Asur because it is not an act of a bittul. Shalol Sarka Materis, but if it was not for its own sake, for example, they wanted to make use of the scrapings, then the idol becomes mutter because he shows that he no longer considers it an idol. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue tomorrow morning with Perek Dalet. Have a wonderful day and a good Tavach.